The first time I saw Olivia, she was in a yellow sundress, barefoot, dancing in the rain outside her college dorm. That image, wild, free, impossible to catch, was the version of her I kept chasing for 8 years. But the day I began to doubt her, it started in our own backyard, beneath pastel streamers and a banner that read, "It's a girl." "Julian, grab the pink cupcakes from the fridge," Olivia called, one hand on her rounded belly. I grinned, brushing icing off my fingers as I weaved through neighbors, co-workers, and friends of friends. Everyone was smiling. Everyone except Madison, Olivia's best friend since middle school. She stood by the lemonade table, arms crossed, shooting glances at Olivia like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. "You okay?" I asked, trying to play it cool. Madison blinked. "You really think this is your baby, huh?" My stomach dropped. What's that supposed to mean? But she turned away without answering, forcing a fake laugh as someone walked past. I stared after her, heart thudding hard enough to shake my chest. It had to be a joke. A bad one. Madison had always had a sharp tongue. Maybe she was just jealous. She'd been through a rough breakup recently. Right. But later that night, when the guests were gone and Olivia was snoring softly on the couch, I stared at her and felt something twist in my gut. Madison's words kept echoing. "You really think this is your baby?" I needed answers. But not from Olivia. From science. And I knew exactly how to get them. I waited until Olivia was in her 3rd trimester. I told myself it was about protecting her, about not causing stress during the pregnancy. But the truth. I was scared. I hated that Madison's words had rooted so deep in me. I hated myself more for what I was doing. But the test was simple, a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. All I needed was a vial of Olivia's blood, which I got during one of our routine OB visits. I said I'd handle the insurance paperwork. I made copies, mailed a sample to a private lab. And then I waited. Every day I'd watch Olivia fold baby clothes, paint tiny animals on the nursery walls, kiss my cheek and call me her girl dad in training. And guilt sat in my chest like a brick. "You've been distant," she said one night, wrapping her arms around me from behind while I stared blankly at the baby monitor manual. "Something going on at work?" I kissed her hand. "Yeah, just deadlines." She nodded, but I saw the flicker in her eyes. I was becoming a stranger to my own wife. The results came 2 weeks later, via encrypted email. I sat alone in my office at home, blinds drawn, palms sweating as I clicked the link. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. The baby was mine. Every cell in my body exhaled. Relief, joy, regret, it all hit at once. But the moment didn't last long. Because right below that number was a message from the lab assistant. Note: testing parameters triggered a secondary flag. Patient data indicates test subject was advised to repeat due to discrepancies in maternal identification. Maternal identification. I reread it 5 times before I understood. Something was off with Olivia's identity in the lab data. Something she had altered. But why would she need to tamper with anything, if she wasn't hiding something? Just when I thought I could breathe again, the real mystery started. And it pointed straight back to Madison. The next morning, I confronted the lab. I told them I was the father, I had confirmation, but there was a flag about the mother's ID. The woman on the phone was polite but firm. "There was a mismatch," she said. "The blood sample submitted under your wife's name showed anomalies that suggest it may not have come from her originally. Standard protocol would have flagged it, but your test was processed before the discrepancy was fully investigated. We recommend confirming with a new sample, directly drawn under supervision." I stared at the floor, heart pounding. So, the sample might not have come from my wife. "I can't confirm that definitively, Mr. Carter. But it's possible." I hung up, cold all over. There were 2 possibilities. Olivia had lied and given someone else's sample, or someone had lied for her. And there was only one person who knew how to dig under Olivia's skin that deeply. Madison. I showed up at her apartment unannounced. She opened the door in leggings and a hoodie, eyebrows raising. "Wow! What happened to calling first? I need to know what you meant at the shower, I said, stepping inside without waiting. You said something about the baby not being mine. Why would you say that? She looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept in days. Because Olivia told me it wasn't. I froze. What? She came to me in tears a few months ago. Said she messed up. Said she didn't know if the baby was yours or someone else's. Someone else's. My voice cracked. Who? Madison hesitated. Some guy from her work. A client. She wouldn't say much, but she swore she was going to come clean. Then one day she told me to forget the whole thing. Said the baby was yours. She begged me to never bring it up again. I staggered back like I'd been hit. So you just dropped that bomb at the shower because what? You were mad. Madison crossed her arms. No. I dropped that bomb because I realized she never told you. She never came clean. I left her apartment in a daze, heart racing, mind spinning. If Madison was right, then Olivia knew there was a chance the baby wasn't mine. And yet, the test said otherwise. 99.99% mine. So what was she hiding now? I didn't say anything to Olivia. Not yet. But the weight of the truth, or what I thought was the truth, made it impossible to sit still. I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way she got quiet when certain co-workers texted. How she kept her phone flipped down. The way she changed the subject when I brought up Madison. Late one night, while Olivia slept upstairs with her pregnancy pillow curled around her like a fortress, I went into the nursery. I needed air. Space. Answers. I sat on the floor next to the crib, staring at the pastel wallpaper, when I noticed the closet door was slightly ajar. Something inside caught the light, a spiral-bound notebook wedged behind a bin of diapers. It wasn't just any notebook. It was her old diary. The one she said she'd stopped writing in years ago. I shouldn't have read it. But I did. The entries were scattered, inconsistent. Some from months ago, some from years back. Then I found one dated just 5 months prior. Right around the time she would have conceived. I made a mistake. I drank too much. He kissed me first. It didn't mean anything, but I didn't stop it. I don't want to ruin everything I have with Julian, but I think I need to know for sure. The timing is too close. I'm scared. The next entry was 2 weeks later. I did the test with a lab Madison found. I used someone else's blood. I know it's wrong, but I can't lose him. If the baby's his, what does it matter? If it's not, I'll find a way to make it right. Somehow. My chest tightened. So Madison did know. And Olivia had lied. To me, to the lab, to herself. But the part that hit me hardest. She wanted the baby to be mine. She was just too scared to face the truth. But now I had the truth. The baby was mine. And she still hadn't told me any of it. That wasn't love. That was manipulation dressed in pastel bows. I stood there for a long time, clutching the diary, listening to the silence of a house built on half-truths. Tomorrow, I was going to confront her. But not before I made one more call. To someone Olivia never expected to hear from again. The next morning, I told Olivia I had a client meeting and left before sunrise. She was too groggy to ask questions, just kissed me sleepily and curled back into her pillow. But I wasn't heading to any meeting. I was heading downtown, to the Asheville Arts Collective, where Olivia used to consult for private clients. She stopped months ago, blaming too much stress from the pregnancy. But in her diary, she mentioned him. He kissed me first. I figured if anyone could tell me who he was, it'd be someone at the gallery. I walked in and flashed Olivia's photo to the receptionist. Hi, I'm trying to reach someone Olivia Carter used to work with. Client sighed. The woman's face changed. Oh, you must be her husband. I stiffened. Yeah. She nodded slowly. That whole thing was messy. What whole thing? A pause. Then, the guy, Ryan Latimer. He stopped showing up after Olivia quit. The partners weren't thrilled about it, but it's not like anyone could prove anything. Ryan, I repeated. Do you know where I can find him? She gave me a look. Are you going to punch him or something? No, I said quietly. I'm just looking for the truth. She wrote down an address on a sticky note. Ryan lived on the edge of the River Arts District, in a sleek condo overlooking the French Broad River. When he opened the door, he looked confused, until I said Olivia's name. Then, his shoulders dropped. I figured this day might come, he said. You want to come in? I stepped into a space filled with abstract paintings and the smell of turpentine. You were with my wife, I said, cutting straight through the silence. He didn't deny it. It was one time, he said. We were drinking after an opening. She said things were rough at home. We kissed. It didn't go further, I swear to God. I studied him. She thought the baby might be yours. Ryan went pale. She what? She used someone else's blood in the test. She thought there was a chance. She wrote it in her diary. He sank onto a stool. I didn't know any of that. I never thought, I assumed she regretted it, but she ghosted me after. I figured it was just shame. I believed him. But I was done being the one left in the dark. It was time Olivia finally told me the truth, with nowhere to hide and no one left to protect her. That evening, I came home to Olivia humming softly in the kitchen, barefoot, stirring a pot of pasta like everything in our lives was perfectly normal. Hey babe, she said over her shoulder. You're home early. I didn't answer. I just placed her diary on the counter between us. She froze. Slowly, she turned around, eyes dropping to the worn leather cover. What's that? You know exactly what it is, I said. And before you lie to me again, I already know everything. About Ryan. About the fake blood. About the diary. About the paternity test. Her face went completely blank. Then, a slow tremble started in her hands. I didn't. I wasn't going to. You were going to keep lying. Even after the baby was born. No, Julian. Her voice cracked. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. I thought if the test said it was yours, if I could believe it was yours, then maybe we could move on. I didn't want to lose you. You didn't lose me, I said, voice low. You gave me up the second you decided to hide this from me. Tears slipped down her cheeks. It was a mistake. I didn't sleep with him, Julian. We kissed, I panicked, and then I thought, if there's even a chance it wasn't yours, I'd never forgive myself. But I was scared. And Madison, she was pressuring me to come clean, but I begged her not to. She tried to tell me, I snapped. At the baby shower. But you made her the villain so you wouldn't have to be. Olivia sobbed into her hands, her body folding in on itself like a crumpling paper doll. I didn't want to lose our family. I didn't want you to see me differently. I do see you differently. That silenced her. But the baby is mine, I said quietly. So no matter what happens between us, I'll be her father. I'll love her. Protect her. Be there. She nodded slowly, eyes filled with panic. I want to fix this, Julian. Please. Let me fix it. I stared at her, remembering all the days I spent dreaming of our family, and how easily she'd gambled it all away. You can start, I said, by telling the truth. To everyone. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I mean the whole truth. Madison. The lab. The fake test. All of it. She opened her mouth in protest, but I stopped her. Because if you don't, I said, pulling out my phone and pressing play on the voice memo I recorded earlier that day, Ryan's entire confession, I will. 3 days later, Olivia sat across from me in our living room, wringing her hands while our therapist, Dr. Halvorsen, watched silently from his armchair. We'd agreed on couples therapy long before this blew up, but now it felt like a courtroom. I lied, Olivia said, voice barely a whisper. I lied about the test. I lied to Julian. I involved my friend. And I manipulated the results because I was afraid of losing him. Dr. Halvorsen nodded, calm as ever. And why now? Why choose to tell the truth today? Because I had no choice, she said, glancing at me. I didn't look back. I just handed the therapist a flash drive, Ryan's confession, Madison's voicemail, a scanned copy of the lab's flagged report. I need this documented, I said. For custody. For our daughter's future. And for clarity, in case Olivia changes her story later. Olivia flinched. You think I'd do that to you? I finally met her eyes. You already did. Silence fell over the room like ash. Later that night, she tried to talk to me again. I still want to raise her together, she said from the doorway, her voice shaky. I want to make this work. I was packing a duffel bag. I'll co-parent, I replied. But we're done. I love you, Julian. No, I said, turning toward her. You love the idea of me. But real love doesn't come with lies and forged tests. She cried. Again. I didn't stop her. The next day, I moved in with my brother across town. Filed for separation. Filed for legal custody. The DNA test was mine. The proof, airtight. But the final piece. That came from Madison. She sent me an email, subject line, for your peace of mind. Attached was a string of texts Olivia sent her the night before the shower. One message stood out. I swear, if Julian ever finds out, I'll say you lied. You've always been jealous. He'll believe me over you. He always does. That changed everything. I didn't just have evidence of the lie. I had proof that she'd been willing to destroy her best friend to save herself. I printed the messages, attached them to my custody petition, and sent Olivia a copy, not to hurt her, but to show her that the story she tried to bury had surfaced. For everyone to see. 2 months later, we sat in court. The judge flipped through the file, his expression unreadable, lab reports, therapy notes, text messages, the diary excerpts, everything lined up like dominoes. Olivia looked polished, her baby girl bundled against her chest. But her eyes were sunken, her hands fidgety, her lawyer unusually silent. My attorney stood with calm precision. Your Honor, she said, Mr. Carter is not contesting joint legal custody. He wants to be part of his daughter's life. But he seeks primary physical custody on grounds of deception that put the emotional and legal well-being of both himself and the child at risk. The judge nodded. Noted. And I see the evidence to support those claims. Mrs. Carter, do you have anything to say? Olivia stood slowly. I made a terrible mistake, she said. I lied. I involved my friend. I manipulated a DNA test. I didn't think about the consequences. And I understand if I lose his trust, but I never stopped loving our daughter. The judge studied her for a moment, then closed the file. Mr. Carter, I'm granting you primary custody with shared legal responsibility. Mrs. Carter, you will retain visitation rights. I strongly suggest both parties attend co-parenting counseling. Court adjourned. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. I simply nodded. Outside the courthouse, Olivia stopped me near the steps, baby cradled in her arms. I never stopped hoping you'd forgive me. I looked at her. The woman I once thought I'd grow old with. I did forgive you, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. It means I'm done carrying what you did. She blinked rapidly, her lips parting, but there was nothing left to say. Later that night, I held my daughter while she slept, her tiny fingers curled around mine like she never doubted me, never feared abandonment, never knew the chaos she was born into. And I promised her, quietly, without ceremony, that I'd never lie to her. That I'd always show her the truth. Not through words, but by example. And as I watched the city lights flicker from my new apartment window, a simple word passed through my mind like a closing scene.